So whatever be the political motivations, there is no doubt that this man was corrupt and is now paying for abusing his position. But that's in China. What about India? This country has seen more than its fair share of scams. Political scams have ended careers of ministers, put cabinets to shame, even toppled governments. But the long-drawn fight for justice rarely concludes with the culprits behind bars. This is not a commentary on the court verdicts that we shall discuss in just a few seconds from now. It's a hard look at the entire system in India that fails to punish the powerful. We're starting with the 2G scandal. It was called India's biggest corruption scam, one that allegedly cost the exchequer more than $40 billion. 10 years ago, 122 telecommunication licenses for operating 2G spectrum were awarded to companies. 4 years later, India's highest court cancelled these licenses. The government's auditor had raised red flags. The then telecom minister A. Raja was accused of selling bandwidth at a fraction of its worth. A huge public outcry followed. India's resources had been squandered. A. Raja was forced to step down. The government was left red-faced. An investigation dragged on for years. What happened? All the Raja, along with 18 others, were declared not guilty. Why? Because there was no conclusive evidence, and this country is living with the theory that there was a massive scam, but nobody is guilty. Another similar fraud that took place under the watch of the Congress-led central government was the coal scam. Mining blocks were unfairly allocated to private companies. The criteria for giving these licenses were changed three times in a span of 5 years. Private firms benefited. The government lost $33 billion of the taxpayers' money. What happened to those involved? Then Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh was declared clean. His officials had apparently kept him in the dark. They were accused. A state chief minister and a union coal secretary were held guilty in this case. They were jailed for 3 years. Almost immediately they got bail. This case is now languishing in a higher court. Basically, no one's in jail. Next comes India's international humiliation due to corruption, the mess of the Commonwealth Games. 8 years back, India hosted the sporting event in the capital, New Delhi. Initial estimates said that this event would cost the government $270 million. By the end of it, the government had spent close to $4.1 billion. That's almost 16 times the proposed sum. So how did the cost shoot up? Corrupt politicians in this country looted the coffers. An audit revealed grave financial irregularities. Projects were given to favourites. Very high sums were paid for very poor services. India became a global joke. Senior Congress leader Suresh Kalmadi was the key accused. Former Delhi Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit was named. 8 years later, there's no action against them. Now to the financial capital of India, Mumbai, and a project that was meant to help families of those martyred in the Kargil war. The 31-story Adarsh housing complex was plum property in an expensive city. Politicians and bureaucrats took the lion's share. Was anyone punished? Then Chief Minister Ashok Chavan was forced to step down, and that is it. Nobody has gone to jail in this case. And the country's biggest defense scam, Bofors. The year was 1986. India had signed a deal with a Swedish arms manufacturer called AB Bofors. The plan was to buy howitzer guns for $1.6 billion. At that time, it was one of the biggest defense deals in the world. A year later, Swedish news agencies reported that top Indian politicians had been paid massive kickbacks, bribes, to facilitate this $1.6 billion deal. India could never get hold of the alleged middleman in this case, Ottavio Quartarocci. He's dead. Nobody knows if then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi took those bribes. He too is no more. Basically, this case has fizzled out, the money is lost, and nobody was punished. This list can go on forever, but we'll spare you more examples. The point we're making is this: the corrupt and powerful almost always go scot-free in this country. We ask why.